Let me tell y'all about Slammiversary. Let's get into it. On the pre-show, the countdown to Slammiversary, there were a few matches. So let's get into it. The Elegance brand faced off against the Inspiration, and to be quite clear, they cheated to retain their tag team championships. Misdirection, distractions, and of course, an aid from the concierge and the third member of their group caused the Inspiration to lose their opportunity at the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. But do not fret. They have vowed to even the playing field this Thursday because they say they have friends in very high places. So we will see who they bring out to help them even the odds in this little rivalry between them and the Elegance brand moving forward. The hometown man had an impromptu match, it seems, with Eric Young. Eric Young ended up losing that match, which led to him berating his Northern Armory for losing sight of the goal and allowing him to be pinned. Let us proceed forward. The third, and I believe it was the final match on the pre-show, was the TNA versus Fourth Rope match. That match included Steve Macklin, Jake Something, and Mance Warner facing off against Enzo Amore, a guy I believe is named Bishop, and the Fourth Rope champion, Zilla Fatu. They were able to pull off a win on Slammiversary over some of the best wrestlers that TNA has to offer in Mance Warner, Steve Macklin, and Jake Something. They were able to best them. I don't know, but it's not looking good for TNA. And I promise you, when I get into the rest of the show, it ain't looking good for TNA overall. Mustafa and Cedric are the ones who opened up the show. To make it very clear, cut, and plain, Mustafa and Order 4 were able to beat Cedric, mainly because of the thousands of interferences. But more specifically, it was Tasha Steelz' interference that cost Cedric the match. You see, he hit her with a lumbar check, which was gnarly in itself. But not only that, it gave Mustafa just enough time to set up and prepare for the 450 splash, which he was able to do. And that's how he was able to get the win. Sucks to be her, but it also sucks to be Cedric because he deserves better than that. But I'm pretty sure he's going to get some get back very soon. Moving on. Okay, we had the System and Matt Cardona facing off against the Dark State. Now, I'm just to make this very clear. The System beat Dark State, which is the way it should have went on a TNA pay-per-view. That's the way it should have went. You're not going to have that for the rest of this. So let me just make it very clear. We're not going to go into details with this because right now Dark State is not my favorite group. So I'm glad the System won, and I hate the System, but I'm glad they won. Anyways, moving on. Crimson Chan went up against Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell beat her, and Crimson Chan beat her up at the end of the match. Then, when Gia, the backstage correspondent, was trying to get her to get off of Indy Hartwell, she attacked Gia, rubbed her face into the steps, and the whole nine. This leads me to believe that Gia is more than likely going to get in the ring at some point, possibly at Bound for Glory. It'll be Indy Hartwell and Gia versus Victoria and Crimson Chan. Sure, whatever makes you happy. I don't like that bitch, so I'm not going to, call her by her real name. Anyways, they had this title versus title match very early on the card, which I thought was kind of fucked up, but it is what it is. Masha ended up losing to JC Jane. JC Jane is now a double champion now. Boo-hoo, frickety-hoo. We'll never hear the end of this because JC's going to be running them out for years. But I know that something is up with this. This doesn't seem right. There's something that is not right with this. And I called this from the beginning. I said that they were going to have JC beat Jordan, and she's going to go on and beat Masha. And then, more than likely, it's going to be Blake Monroe who's going to take everything from her. But we have to wait and see how this plays out. I say, by my estimates, by the time Heatwave rolls around, she either will be down one title or she'll be set to lose one. I really think so. But anyways, moving on. Leon Slater is your new X Division champion. Congratulations to you, Leon Slater. Even AJ Styles came out to give Leon Slater a nod and to pass the proverbial torch to the newcomer. Leon Slater is the youngest X Division champion in history. we have the tag team titles. Now, this match was brutal. If you ask me, by my estimates, this was the second best match on the card next to Mustafa and Cedric's. But the key component about this was that they had this kind of makeshift, like, helicopter ladder dangling when I guess the ladders didn't work anymore because they had all got broken. And Jeff Hardy climbed that ladder and grabbed the belts for him and Matt. So Matt and Jeff are now tag team champions once again. But this isn't even the fucking kicker. The kicker here is that goddamn Bubba Ray came down there and was like, we need to have one more bout. It needs to be me and my brother Devon, Team 3D, and you two, the Hardys. We need to go at it again. And I was like, who told you that? No, you don't. You need to go home. You have busted open radio. Okay? You have what you need. What aren't you doing like LFG? Like you have a job, sir. Why are you willingly going back to something that you know you could die from? Like you're old enough to actually die. Sir. I can't make it up even if I tried. I can't. I can't make it up even if I tried, bro. Okay. And apparently this is happening. It's scheduled. It's set in stone. It's done. At Bound for Glory, it will be the Hardys versus Team 3D one last time. I don't understand why, but that's what they're choosing to do. Sure, go off. Whatever makes you happy. Final bout. Trick Williams versus Mike Santana versus Joe Hendry. Trick Williams is still champion. So now we have count them two, WWE NXT superstars holding two championships in the company, major titles, the women's knockout championship, and of course, the men's TNA championship. These titles are the main bread and butter of TNA, and they're holding them. At this point, TNA and WWE gotta fight. Like, it just is what it is. So listen, Slammiversary was a great show. I had no issues with it. I loved it. But here is my take on how TNA needs to take over. Because at this point, they are being fully invaded by WWE and they have no answer for WWE and their superstars. Okay. But I have an idea as to how they could do it and still save face. And they probably can make, Survivor Series, because I'm leaning towards Survivor Series, be an even playing field for both companies, right? So let me tell you how they should play this out. Because when you look at TNA and NXT, right? TNA are fighting up against NXT, which in a sense is WWE's upstarts. They're not fighting up against their biggest superstars, right? So you can have something that's really cool here. And this is what I'm thinking, and I just added a little piece to this, but it'll be delicious. So here's the thing. You need to start having people get attacked backstage on all three brands, all women and men. It's an onslaught. Everybody can get some. You feel me? You need to start having them be attacked. Every week, a new attack needs to start. And Nick and Adam are going to be beside themselves, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. TNA is not going to be attacked just yet. When TNA gets attacked, though, it's going to be a whole group of people that gets attacked. It's not just going to be one or two people. It's going to be like a group. And then Ava, Nick, and Adam are going to get together to try to figure out what the issue really is and if they can figure out who has been doing it, because it'll be an onslaught attack in NXT in like the parking lot, which is where all the attacks happen, right? So this is going to happen for quite some time. And then we'll slowly but surely get let in on the secret as to who it is. We'll start getting vignettes. You'll see little things popping up, and you'll start to speculate as to what is really happening and why these attacks are going down. Now, the main goal is to start doing this after SummerSlam so there's no added distractions, right? So You need to make this so that Santino Morella and them are not the culprits, right? So that there are some minor attacks happening on their show too. So it can look like everybody that's involved with WWE is getting these attacks and they don't know who it is, right? So, sorry. Here's where you should go with this. The attacks need to ramp up. So you start off slow with people who aren't really in big storylines or aren't really on TV as much. Start off with those people, and then you start moving into people like the Street Profits, BFAB, Michin, um, Roxanne and Raquel. You start moving up to bigger and bigger names as Survivor Series starts to come around the corner, and you start getting a ramp up of the vignettes. So the three GMs are going to have to work together. And the only way to do this is to figure out who's attacking them. The final attack, it should start on that final week, be like that, like 2 weeks before Survivor Series. You should get a attack, and then it's exposed that it's TNA, right? And or at least like 3 weeks before. That way you get enough time to be able to build it up so they can anticipate the attacks, right? So they expose it as TNA. We know it's TNA. Santino Morella was like, you came into, we thought we had a partnership. You came in, you took all our belts. You're destroying, you had one of your guys coming here try to steal my job. So now it's only time for TNA to get some get back, right? So TNA is going to be attacking. You'll never know when we're going to attack, right? And they're going in and they're going on the attack. But again, it's targeted. So maybe they get attacked in the parking lot for whatever arena they're in terms of the main event shows. And in NXT, they're getting in the locker room and attacking them in the locker room until we get to that 2-week mark. Now, in the meantime, between time, once we find out that it's TNA, AJ Styles has to choose, right? So the ex-NXT guys, or the TNA guys, the ex guys that are on TNA's side are like, listen, you're an OG of TNA. You can't be on WWE's side. And of course, WWE guys are like, listen, you're an OG of WWE. You can't be on TNA's side. So AJ Styles, he got to pick a side. Okay? That's a side quest. Okay? But there are some other former TNA guys in WWE, like Xavier Woods, like CM Punk. Okay? And you got the whole situation with the Hardys and Bubba Ray and them. They are also ex-WWE guys. So you got a whole plot thing that could work here if you play your cards right. This can be a whole big thing, but it can be so big that it could really take over. And people are going to pick sides. People are going to pick sides, bro. It'll be epic if you do it this way. So we're going to move on into how this could really play out. Instead of doing a traditional, you're going to do traditional 5-on-5, and of course, you're going to do war games. Okay. But here's how you're going to set up the invasion, right? You're going to have Monday Night Raw get attacked because that's your very first show. Okay. So you're going to have Monday Night Raw get a full on attack, TNA standing tall. The next day, you got NXT getting attacked, but they don't really get that attack off correctly. And WWE guys come in for the save, like Rhea Ripley's there, Bianca Belair is there, Jade Cargill is there, Charlotte Flair is there. Your top men and women are there to thwart that attack. Okay, you pick the ones, right? Then we get to Friday Night SmackDown. You got Cody Rhodes over there, Big Jim, LA Knight, MFT. You have Jacob Fatu, the whole nine. Okay. And because now you got Fourth Rope over there with TNA, you can utilize Zilla Fatu, Enzo Amore, Bishop. You can utilize Fourth Rope in this particular fight as well and have a whole fucking thing going. So you can have Enzo Amore pop up on WWE programming and not have to pay him the money to be there. And WWE could be in the ring protecting themselves because, of course, they're anticipating the attack. But what they don't know is that Fourth Rope is a part of the game and they're coming in to help aid in the attack. So you got TNA guys, Fourth Rope guys coming in and demolishing WWE on WWE programming. Okay, whooping ass. Okay, and then we go into Survivor Series. It needs to be a traditional 5-on-5. champions versus champions, and you need to have war games for the men and the women. That's it. It'll be a massive pay-per-view because you'll have, unless JC Jane is still champion at the time, she won't be defending the Knockouts Women's Championship. So you'll have a championship match with JC if she's still champion, but you'll have it with whoever is champion at the time. So the Knockouts title will be defended against NXT's title. And you will have the TNA title defended against NXT's title. Okay. So that'll put NXT in there to be able to fight for whatever they need. The Knockouts champions will go up against the tag team titles. Okay. Then you have the X Division champion facing off against the US or Intercontinental champion, whichever one. Then you have, you can have the Intercontinental champion going up against the US champion. The international champion, you can have international going up against intercontinental, US going up against the X Division. That takes care of the men in terms of the singles. Then you have the tag team champions facing off against one of the tag team champs. Or you could do it as a triple threat. I know it sounds really bad, but it's a triple threat, which means TNA will have less of an opportunity to win, but they would win that match. Okay, you just give them that one. But anyways, you can set that up like that. You do your 5-on-5. We decide the 5-on-5 by, obviously who's popular and who's going to go up against the most popular. Okay, the top guys. Okay, Mike Santana, Joe Hendry. Right now, if they have enough people, they can still have that 5-on-5 and still do the War Games match. But if they don't have enough people, then the War Games match will be the only thing that they would do. And they can do the 5-on-5. I guess they wouldn't do the 5-on-5. We would cut the 5-on-5 and just do the War Games match. And the way you would decide who would be in that match would be by who the attacks are targeting. So if the women are going after, they're going to attack NXT people for sure. But if they're going to go after bigger people, of course, like people like Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, people like Jade Cargill, people like Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. Like, I would make the War Games a really big match. I would put like 16 people in there for real. Like, it would be full on chaos with 16 people on there. That'd be like 8 people on each side. Okay, which I would love that because it would be nuts to have that many people in the match. And you could do that for the men as well, if that's what you wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And again, you got that added element of whose side are you going to be on? Because the only person I would say is not going to be able to participate in this is Tessa Blanchard, because I don't want her anywhere near a WWE TV screen ever. So yeah, but I'm rambling because it's like 4:00 in the morning and I just needed to get this out. But y'all tell me what y'all think. Do y'all think that this is a really cool idea? Because I think if it's executed right, it can be done right. And I really, really, really want to know what everybody thinks. So please tell me. Please tell me if you think I'm crazy. Okay. Or if you actually think that my idea could have some legs and could actually work. Now, the way my brain works, it doesn't exactly execute everything correctly. Okay. It only goes by the way I'm thinking. So maybe I'll plug it into one of my little friends and see what they think in terms of how it could play out. I will make sure I expand on this in another video later on today, because today is Monday right now. So I will make sure I expand on this video later on today. But I think that this is a great idea, and I think that it would work if it's done correctly. But y'all let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed my video on Slammiversary, and of course, my thoughts on what should be happening going forward. And I'll see you guys next time.